got a lot of questions today already. As I do, I saved a bunch of stuff up from the week, and I'm just gonna go through these until people start joining. And when you do, feel free to drop your questions in the chat and I'll get to them as time allows. I'm a couple minutes early, but that's okay. Let's get into it. So this week, the big announcement from Descript themselves is what's called Descript Preview. Descript Preview is a kind of a beta version of Descript. I don't think they use that word, but it's a separate app. And this is, I have it open right now. So it looks exactly the same as the regular desktop app, but what's happened is the back end is different. So they're saying I think the term they use is the media engine is different. And it's basically, it takes the best of the web version and the best of the desktop app version and combines them. So with the web version, for example, you don't have to store the media files on your computer. Everything is on Descript's cloud. All the processing happens on the cloud. And so it is with this preview app. So if I go back to my projects here, you can see none of these are, well, you probably can't, most people probably wouldn't be able to tell, but none of these are in fact downloaded to my computer. These are all on Descript's cloud. So like this top one here, this is a 10 gigabyte file, but it's on Descript's cloud. And in the videos they showed some pre-release type of videos. They were applying studio sound immediately. Studio sound, eye contact, like those features that require a lot of processing that took a long time. Sometimes if it's a really long project, like this is a 52-minute video, that if I applied studio sound and or eye contact, you're talking 10 to 15 minutes for it to apply. But with the new media engine, they were showing it happening instantly. So I'm not sure how they pull that off. I don't know what they changed on the back end, but the front end UI, everything's the same. So that's really exciting. And if the stability of it is increased, then that's going to be a game changer. Now, what I will say is the stability so far is not great. I've been using the preview a little bit, and it's got a lot of issues. And it's also a little bit limited. So for example, if I open up this, and I go to publish, for example, and I go to YouTube, it's not available yet on the preview. So there's little things like that I've found throughout the week of using this that this can't do yet. And you can open it up in the browser or on your app and then publish it from there. You just can't do it from the preview yet. And then there was a couple of weird things, like even this file. This was like a 10 gigabyte file in my projects, and it took a long time to add, like a very, very, very long time. And it failed a couple times because I was thinking something was wrong with Descript, so I closed it and reopened it. And so things like that are happening. And personally, as you know, if you followed this channel for any amount of time, I love the new. I'm obsessed with whatever the latest thing is. And so whenever Descript puts out a new update, I'm all over it. But if that's not you, don't do preview. It's not worth it. You're just going to have those little frustrations. Now, what I expect is probably going to happen is preview is going to replace the current desktop app. Like, it'll probably just be a version update. You'll come down to your computer one day and the next version of Descript is going to be there, and you won't be able to tell, but this new media engine is going to have taken the place of the Descript desktop app. And yeah, it's just going to continue getting better and faster, and we all benefit when that happens. Okay, so if you have any questions about preview, drop it in the chat. If you have any questions at all about anything, drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to start going through my questions. I have all my questions written on a whiteboard over here, and these are questions that I got throughout the week. So the first question was, can I turn transcription off? Yes, you can. So to do that, you go to your settings, and what you're gonna wanna do is this right here. If this is on, always, or if it's off, it's gonna automatically transcribe your files, whether it's audio only or video. Then, I'm just looking at preview unreleased features today. That caught my eye. There's no current labs stuff right now, but sorry, tangent. So always ask before transcribing. This is what you're looking for. If that is toggled on, then you'll have the option before it starts transcribing your content to say no. And then you hit cancel, and then it won't transcribe it, and it won't eat up your time. It won't eat up your allocated monthly transcription time, which is either 1 hour if you're on the free plan, 10 hours on the hobbyist, 30 hours on the not pro anymore, it's now called creator, or 40 hours on the business plan. So yeah, if that's a concern for you, if you're hitting those limits every month, definitely toggle that on, and then that'll ensure that you can manually decline that so that you're not eating up your transcription time. So I'll close out of that. The next question that I have is, what happens if I delete words from the transcript? So let me just like make a copy of this, for example. If you delete some words from the transcript, I think what you're asking is, well, okay, I'll just do it. So right here, there's a filler word. It's underlined in blue. That's how I know it's a filler word. Filler word being ums, us, you knows, things like that. So if I highlight it and I click delete on my keyboard, it's gone. It's gone from the transcript and it's gone from the timeline. So yes, what was your original question? What happens if you delete words from the transcript? That's what happens. It deletes it from the video, deletes it from the transcript, deletes it from the timeline. And the next question from the same person was, can I edit the audio and video from the transcript? Yes, you can as well. And the way you do that is the same way. You can highlight some words, for example, and you can hit this correct button that pops up over it. And so it says, my wife is a student. I could change that to say, my wife is a veterinarian student. Hit correct. And then it changes it in the transcript. It adds it down here as well. It doesn't add it to the video because I haven't done AI speaker on it, but it adds it visually down. Where was it? Right there. My wife is a student. And so yeah, that's how you can edit the transcript. And then to actually edit the audio and video portion of this, I already showed you the delete. But if I wanted to, let's say, okay, there's a little gap between the word so and we're. So I could click on the word we're and drag it and close that gap. Or I could even drag it over the word so and the word all right as well and get rid of it. So yeah, you can do that kind of stuff, moving things down, moving things around from there. You could copy and paste things. You could, for example, like cut that section that I just highlighted and then move it around in the transcript. So I could now then paste it right there. And that pastes that section of video to a different section of video. Just gonna undo that. And let's see here. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, but hopefully that helps. If you have any other questions, let me know. The next question is, how do I fix transcription errors? So yeah, transcription errors are common. One thing is, if you have an uncommon name, for example, a company name or an uncommon last name, one thing you can do is come to tools. So again, that was settings, tools, transcription glossary. And then this is where you can add uncommon words to a list. And this will increase the chances that Descript AI will transcribe those words correctly in the future. So you could add a company name, for example, this is my last name. Even ironically, Descript always messes itself up. Its own when it's transcribing the word Descript. It says the script or other. I've seen a wide variety of different things that it does. So I put that in there as an uncommon word. But you get the idea. You could put anything that is often getting mistranscribed, and then you could add it to this list, and that'll help the transcription engine get it better next time. The other way is if it messes up just one word, or maybe even a word that's repeated a lot in the video, you could, for example, let me see if there's one that's actually wrong here. So one thing I'll just point out real quick, since there's a lot of questions about the transcription, you can add punctuation at any point without any other steps by just clicking somewhere. So for example, I'm saying right here, it's kind of like a quote, like and you said, let's live in Mexico. So let's live in Mexico. I'm going to just put like a, what is that called? Not a parenthesis, not a quote mark, but I guess a quote mark. We'll go with that. And then you can just add another one, just typing it in. You can also just type in a period, for example, a comma, or if you hold the X key, you notice that my cursor now has a little period and comma on it. This allows you to toggle through punctuation on your transcript. So right now this word school has a period after it. If I click on it, it turns into a comma. Click on it again, turns into a space. Click on it again, turns into a period. And when I do that, if I turn it into a period, the next word capitalizes. If I get rid of the period, the next word uncapitalizes because it's just continuing the sentence. So it's smart in that sense. And it's, okay, there we go. Okay, so the other way to correct a transcript is, like, let's say the word Mexico here. In lieu of a better example, I'm just going to click on this one, and I could change the word Mexico to Belize. And I could hit correct, and it would change it. I'll just do it. So I just changed it on the transcript, and it's also going to change it. There it is, it just updated. Changes it down here as well. And so now it says, and so Belize was going to be like a gap. And that's how that works. Now, that just fixed that one instance of it. If I click on it again, I hit correct, and I'll change it back to Mexico. I can hit correct to change just one instance, or I can hit correct all, and it's going to find every time that I said the word Belize in this entire 52-minute video and change all of those to whatever I tell it to change to, in this case, Mexico. So I'll go ahead and hit that. And, oh, and it actually told me, oh, okay, it's showing that there is 3 instances of it. There's not actually, but there's 3 copies of this composition. So it showed up as that. But I'm gonna hit correct all, and then those are all gonna be changed back to Mexico. Okay, so yeah, that's how you correct the transcript. You can also, instead of just one word at a time, you can hold, click and drag an entire sentence, an entire paragraph. There is a limit to it. I'm not exactly sure how long it is, but it's quite a few words. It's about that. So notice if I highlight that sentence and a half, I get that correct button. But if I go any further, I don't. It's too big of a portion for me to be able to correct all of that at once. But that's how you do it. That's how you correct your transcript. And I always go through this exercise with clients who are really worried about the transcript. Like, do you really need the transcript? If you're not going to be exporting the transcript to publish to a blog, then you might not need the transcript. If you're not using captions, because captions will read your transcript, then you might not need the transcript. So for most people, don't worry too much about the transcript unless you need it. So yeah, just be aware of that, because a lot of people, I don't know why, but they get really obsessed with it, even though it's not something they're ever going to use. Okay. The next question is, how do I export my project? So there's two terms that you need to know when it comes to exporting. I'm exporting according to Descript. The way that Descript uses the word export is to put this project onto your computer's hard drive, as opposed to publishing. So notice if I click on this publish button, there's export and publish. Publish will post your video somewhere to the web. So through the publish button, and this is what I use 90% of the time, because most of my videos go to YouTube and I can put them straight there with the publish button. And then anything that's not going to YouTube, I'm usually sending to a client, and for that I use a web link. So between these top two things, that's my recommended way to do it. It's the fastest way to do it, and for my use case at least, that's what I need to do. Now, if that's not relevant to you, if you do need to export it, you need this file onto your computer's hard drive, you come over to this export tab, and then there's a video option. And then under video, we have what you want to export, either the current composition or just the current scene that I'm in. If it's just certain markers, the line breaks, or all compositions. You can choose what exactly within this composition or this entire project, in the case of all compositions, that you want to export. And then you choose your resolution, 480p, all the way up to whatever the max, and in this case I recorded it at 1080p, so that is the max that I could export this particular project at. Then, let's go back there. So publish, export. Quality has to do with the audio quality, low, medium, high. You get more granular controls on audio, like channels, sample rate, things like that. You can export as audio only. This will be just a .wav, .mp3, or .m4a file. And then you can export as a GIF, which would just be like a simple video without audio, without an audio component. And transcript, this is, you can export as a .doc, as a .text, .rich text, etc. And then that's what you could use to copy and paste the entire transcript to a blog or to LinkedIn or wherever you're going to put this. And then you have subtitles, and these are timed text docs essentially. So for every sentence that you say in the video, it's going to keep the words in line with the video, in sync with the video. And then this is what you could upload to YouTube to manually override their automated captions. So you get a choice of .srt or .vtt files with that. And yeah, let me know if that answers your question. That is the gist of it with publishing and export. Okay, what are markers and how do I use them? So markers, this question comes up a lot. And here, this right here, this bold part that says introduction and setting the scene, that's a marker. And this one that says life in Mexico City, that's a marker. So you can see over here on the left side, those markers are things that I can click to. And then my transcript scrolls to that point. Additionally, if I go to publish this, I go to publish and then YouTube. Oh, you can't see it here, but if you could, the markers would become chapters in my YouTube publication. So on the YouTube video, that would give the viewer these different points that they could scroll to based on different topics with corresponding timestamps. So they don't have to watch the whole thing. They can just go to like relevant or interesting points in the video. So yeah, it's a recommended way. And you can have the Underlord create those for you by going to Underlord, add chapters, and then you prompt it the number of chapters that you want it to create. It defaults to auto, where it's just at the Underlord's discretion, and it'll come up with as many as it needs to. Or you can say manually, this is a 52-minute thing, and I want one chapter every 5 minutes roughly, so I'm gonna do 10 chapters. And then you could hit submit. Underlord is thinking. And what it's doing is scanning through the script and coming up with words based, or coming up with names for those markers based on what's being discussed. So these right here that I highlighted, that's one marker, that's one marker, etc. It always puts one marker at the 0-second mark, so right at the beginning. And that's actually a requirement for YouTube. If you don't have that 0-second marker, then your chapters won't work. So it automatically does that for you as a given, automatically puts that in there. And then the other thing is you get this little button right here. This button doesn't exist until you've added one marker, at least one marker to your project. And when you click on it, you can see all your markers lined up like this. And then you can quickly scroll to that point in the video. So you're like, oh, where was that part we were talking about scuba diving? Oh, there it is, experiences with scuba diving. And then you can click on it and it scrolls you to that point in the video. So that's super handy. And then let's see, the way that you create these manually, I showed you the Underlord method. The way to manually create a thing, marker, is to do a hashtag. So on a US keyboard, that's Shift+3, and it shows right here, it's just the placeholder name is just marker, and you start typing. So I'll call this my sample marker, boom, just like that. And my marker's been created. And so now that becomes a scroll point over here. It becomes a scroll point over here. If I exported this to YouTube, it'd become a chapter, and so on. Okay, let me know if you have any more questions about markers. I'll move on to the next one. So how do I add music and sound effects to my question, is basically what your question is. So to add music and sound effects, I'll go through a couple methods here. To add Descript's built-in music and sound effects, if you click on the 3 dots that say more down here, and it only says more because my window is very small. If you have a large screen, it'll say music, the bottom one will. But when I click on it, there it is, it says music. I click on that, and there's this music section up top, and there's this sound effects section below it. With all of these, you can click on this play button, and it'll play that soundtrack, so like so, and then it tells you how long it is. So this one's 2 minutes 39 seconds, and if I like it, if I want to add this to my project, I can hit that plus button right there, and I'll go ahead and do it. It says importing audio, and again, for those just joining, I'm on the Descript Preview app. It's the brand new app that came out this week. It looks the exact same, but it's got a different, they're calling it a media engine. So it's supposed to be a lot faster, and it's supposed to be a lot better. I've found a lot of bugs already this week, but that's to be expected. It's only been out since Wednesday or something like that. And as you can tell, it's not exactly much faster yet when it comes to adding B-roll and things like that. It's still taking a while to load. But what they're working towards is where you can just click studio sound, click eye contact, any of those AI features, and it'll just happen immediately without any processing. So I guess that probably doesn't quite apply to the stock media yet, where that will load instantly. Clearly not, because this is going on 30 seconds here. So I'll keep moving on while I wait for that to load. So that's how you add the stock media. You can also do a search. You could click in here and you could type in a genre. You could say like classic music, and then do, oh, error loading media. Please check your connection. So another bug with Descript Preview. But maybe I'll try another one here. Let's do this. So yeah, you could type in like a keyword or a, oh, hey X, thanks for joining, and appreciate you saying so. It's been a while since I've seen you. So yeah, you could do a search here and then find anything you want. And the other way is if you're adding your own music, then the way that you do that is the same way you add your own video or images or anything else to a project, which is to simply drag and drop it into your timeline. Or you can go to projects and you can drag and drop it into here. This is where, in your projects view, is where all of the media that makes up your entire project lives. So this is your video, your images, audio, etc. So you can drag and drop straight into there, or you can go to this add files button and that'll go into a browse where you can search through your whole computer and then find something, like for example, this video, and then you can hit open and that'll put it into your project. And then, sorry, this is still loading, so I can't really show you what it looks like once it's added, but that's how you do it. I'll have to find another project later that already has audio. Okay, let me know if you have any other questions about that or if that gets you down the right track. The next question is, how do I back up and save my Descript projects? So you don't have to. It happens automatically. This check mark at the top left, oh, and I can't click on it. That might be a Descript Preview thing. Usually I'm able to click on that in the desktop app. And what that is telling you that your project is synced. If I hover over it, notice it says synced. It says last synced 10 seconds ago. And so that is, if it's not synced, there'll be a spinning circle, like a loading bar, loading circle. And that lets you know that not everything is synced yet. Because what it's doing is taking all of your audio file or all of your files and edits and things like that and saving it to Descript's cloud, which you get as part of your membership. So you either have, if you're on the free plan, you get, I think it's 5 gigabytes of cloud storage. If you're on Hobbyist, you get 100 gigabytes. If you're on Creator, you get 1 terabyte. And then you get 5 terabytes on the business plan. So yeah, the answer is, as long as you're connected to the internet, it's always happening. The syncing and backing up is, and if that little check mark is checked, you're good to go. You can safely close it. You can turn off your computer, and you don't have to worry about it. Even if it is processing, you can walk away from your computer and it shouldn't take long. If it is taking an unusually long amount of time, like that check mark's not showing up after 5-10 minutes, then there might be something else going on. But up to a few minutes, don't worry about it. It's probably processing something. It's adding studio sound or eye contact or adding a big file, things like that. Okay. So in the chat, if there's time for a question, could you give an overview of how you use sequences to create this type of video? Yeah, so this video would actually be better if it was a sequence. It's currently not. So, and then I'm creating educational videos with a whiteboard. I want to edit the video, or sometimes I replace the talking head with a meme, the whiteboard area with a PowerPoint slide. Okay. Yeah, I can talk about that. So yeah, so this video is just one camera. I was interviewing the author, Derek Sivers, and it's the way it works. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Let's do stacked view. I had a camera. I had my DJI Pocket 3 on the table, and the microphone is just this lavalier mic, and that's what's on the table between us, that little black thing right there, if you can see it through the live stream. And so this isn't the ideal way to do it. The better way to do it would be to have 2 separate mic tracks and then put that into a sequence, and ideally 2 or 3 videos, video layers, that is, like maybe 1 camera for him, 1 camera for me, and then be able to switch through all of those based on who's speaking. But the way that I did this is, for example, let me show you if there's, Okay, so I used a lot of zooms. So if I just play this little part here.
Thanks for coming in. You've been kind of internationalizing and digital nomading.
So when someone was actively speaking, I just added a zoom. So it'd zoom in on the person that was currently talking. And then if we were both reacting or laughing or something, then I have it zoom back out to show both of us. And yeah, so that's how you do it with one mic, one camera. So in that sense, it's easier, just one layer, but it's not as professional. You're not going to have all of the options. Like for example, there was parts where we were kind of talking over each other, and I wasn't able to edit that out because I didn't have separate tracks. Okay, so when you're creating educational videos with a whiteboard and want to edit the video, how are you doing the whiteboard? Is it like behind me? Like, is it you in front of a whiteboard, or is it like a iPad whiteboard that is a screen recording? So basically, is it a separate video layer, or okay, iPad screen share, and then I'm assuming there's a video of you, and then sometimes replace the talking head with a meme, the whiteboard area with a PowerPoint slide. Okay, so, and you want to be able to do it like on the fly, like while you're making it, or can you do it in editing? Because to do it on the fly, you'd need something like OBS, which I'm using right now. Okay, in editing, cool. So we can do that in Descript then. Yeah, just to finish that thought, if you do it on the fly, like live, you'd need OBS, which is the software that I'm using right now to do this live stream, where you can set different screen configurations and things, and then you would be able to pop up something else while you're going. But to do it in editing is really easy. You can just take like this, like, okay, for example, this part says you got legal resident status. If I wanted to put a meme over that, or like an image of a residency card or something, I can just highlight that section and I could say add layer. And then I could say whatever I want to put over it. I could go into my files. I could find if I added a meme in there, I could add it. Or let's go into the images. I can add stock images as well. Let me type in residency card and let's see if anything comes up. No. Let's try like ID card. Not really relevant, but I'll click on this just to show you. Oh, really? Hang on. The live stream is frozen. Okay, 1 second here. Let me see what I can do. Okay, I'm back. Let's see if it looks like it's still frozen. Hang on. Let's see here. Is it still frozen for you? It looks frozen on the YouTube studio. Okay, just the Descript window. That's weird. Let me see if there's like a refresh here. Okay, I think we're good, right? Let's see. Okay, cool. It looks like it's back. Okay, thanks for letting me know. So, probably missed all that, but I'll go through it again. So, the easiest way to add something over your, like, okay, let's say this is your iPad layer and you want to add a meme over it. So you could select it, the part where you talk about that meme or whatever, or you want to bring that meme. So like, let's say it's this sentence that says you got legal resident status. I could select it, highlight it, hit add layer, and then in photos, I could just type in something relevant, meme, whatever, in this case, ID card, and then I could pick one. And then let's see if this is gonna work. It hasn't added the music still, so this might not work. But the other option is to drag and drop. So you could just drag an image off of your desktop, for example, and then just place it over that highlighted portion. So I'm gonna look on my computer real quick to see if I have. I'll put this Descript thing over it. Okay, so I got a picture selected on my mouse, and then if I hover over that part I have selected, it turns that blue color. And when I release, it puts it, you can see it made a new scene. It put a slash at the beginning of where I had highlighted and at the end. And then it just put that image right over my selection. And then I could, like, just like any layer, I could resize it, move it around the screen. And so that's what you could do with your meme, is just find the sentences where you want to add it, drag and drop it in, and then position it accordingly. And then it would be the same way with a PowerPoint slide. If you had like a screenshot of the PowerPoint slide or a JPEG or something, then you could just drag that as a new layer on top of it. Does that help? You could try it real quick and let me know if that's the solution you're looking for. And if anyone else has questions, please chime in. Or captions, what's that related to? Are you talking about adding that for a specific section? Because you can do select it, add layer, and then hit captions. And then, yep, right there, it's just got the captions. If that's what you're asking in the chat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I can just go into the other things you can do with it. You can do add layer. Files, that would be just anything that you've already added from your computer. Recording would be to add a new recording. So you could do a new screen recording and add that on top of your highlight in this section. You can do captions, which we just looked at. Text, which will just add a text layer. Live text, which could be one of these options. I've covered these at length in other live streams. You have like a count up or count down timer, current marker, current speaker, current composition. Shapes, you can have rectangle, ellipse, waveforms, progress bars. Videos, these are what we just looked at, or I guess not quite, we looked at the images. But these are the stock videos, so you could just type in anything here, and like, let's type in airplane. And then you could just drop in a video like so. And there's Giphy GIFs, Giphy stickers, backgrounds, which are just still images, illustrations, unsplash, all four of those are gonna be images. Generate image, which is gonna be DALL-E. It's gonna generate an image from a text prompt. And then music and sound effects. Those will add music layers, but that's not working right now. In the chat, for the current video, you said it's one video recording your interview. To create a split screen YouTube short, would you import the same video twice and edit it as a sequence with 2 tracks? That's exactly how I did it. So if I took a section of this, like here, and I'm just gonna highlight that. Let's say I want to make this into a YouTube short. The exact way that I would do this is, first of all, before I even go into that, if I'm going through this video for the first time, what I would do is probably highlight all of the parts that I want to make into a social media short, like so. And then at the very end, you could copy all of your highlights into a separate composition to be made into a short. But in this case, if it's just this one line, I'll hit these 3 dots. I'll say duplicate to, new composition. It says selection added to new composition. I'll hit open. And now if I scroll down in here, it's just those few lines that my scrolling is all messed up. I don't know why. It's just those few lines that I selected. And so what I would do is turn this into portrait mode. So I went to my aspect ratio in the top left, changed it to portrait mode right there. And then, yeah, if I wanted these to be stacked, as you suggested, what I could do is copy this. So I just copied the whole selected layer, copy it, click somewhere else, hit Command V to paste it. Oops, sorry, hang on. I'm gonna need to click into my timeline, hit Command V. There it is. And it automatically made it really, really big, but I'm just gonna resize it just for demonstration purposes. And then, so now I have that stacked view. And then what I could do is like make it so it focuses on one speaker. So I could make that one me, and then the other one could be guest. And then, yeah, and then there we go. I could, yeah, to make this a sequence, I would need to go into right here. I could say create sequence, and then I could duplicate the layers there. And that is actually the better way to do it. I should have done that, because that'll keep, if I have to make more edits, that'll keep everything synced up. So like, let's go to scene 2. And let's give this a second, because until I can see the sound waves, I can't really know if these are synced up. They should be, because I just pasted them in the exact same copies, but let's just give this a second. Maybe I'll just go back and reopen it. If I go back to edit sequence, there it is. So yeah, here's the sequence now, where there's track 1, track 2, even though they're carbon copies of each other. And then I can hit insert into script. And now here's my sequence. So there's my, it put the 2 layers side by side, but once again, I can like resize these accordingly. And then so something like that. I'm not gonna try to like perfect that right now, but just to give you the idea of how this would work. And now the advantage of doing that, the sequence, is if I make a change to this. So if I get rid of, let me just make a change here. So I take the word student and I tighten this gap. Then it's gonna cut both of those layers together to keep them in sync. And then I don't have to worry about everywhere beyond that point being a little bit off. A student at university here. So yeah, that's how you do that. Sequences are hard. They're one of the harder things to like wrap your head around in Descript, but an absolute essential for multi-speaker, multi-camera workflows. And then in this case where I only have one video file, it's helpful for being able to do this type of thing, to do exactly that. Just copy it and then stack them. Any other questions? And I'm sorry the music layers aren't loading here. So again, for those just joining, I'm on the Descript Preview app, which just came out a few days ago. It looks exactly the same as the desktop app and the web app for that matter, but it's got a couple differences, a couple limitations. For example, I can't publish to YouTube. So if I try to publish to YouTube, it just says coming soon. And then I'm finding more and more and more errors as I use it. Like, for example, this music isn't loading right now. And so I wouldn't recommend most people to switch to it yet. If you like trying the latest and greatest thing, then go for it. But it's definitely very much in beta. And it's probably going to be a couple months before they they replace the current desktop app with this one. But it's cool. I think the idea behind it is that it's going to speed up everything. And so that's awesome. Like the publishing is supposed to happen really quick. Applying any of the AI features is supposed to happen really quickly, even instantaneously, they said. So, yeah. Oh, hey, Patrician. Thanks for joining. It's beginning to make sense. Yeah, absolutely. Great to hear from you. So let's see. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. If there's any specific things you're stuck on, let me know. Otherwise, I could kill a couple minutes by talking about my course and stuff. So my course is at descriptmastery.com, and it's got over 100 or about 100 lessons, just under 100 lessons, I think it is, on the new version. And it's completely updated for the version of Descript that came out a month ago. And yeah, if you enroll, every single lesson has an assignment with it. So the idea is you complete a project as you're going through it. Just every time you learn a skill, you do an assignment, and then you get to practice that skill until by the end you've completed or you've mastered Descript is the idea. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy that this video or the music layers aren't loading. Let me try another project. Let's see if that helps. Oh, by the way, little YouTube trick that I've been doing on my videos, and you've probably seen this if you watch my channel, is at the very end of your video, say, if you like this, watch this one next, and then have an end screen that looks like this. Could be your logo, and then it says recommended video. And then inside of YouTube Studio, put in a video related to the one that the topic that you just talked about. So this was the video I published today about lighting and how it affects your camera. And so then at the end of this video, I could recommend another one where I'm talking about cameras or about some sort of creation tip. And then, yeah, it's just a way to keep people on your channel, which YouTube likes to see. And then you get more view time, and people learn more from your channel. So the way I do that is I have a template, and I just create a little scene which has a soundtrack in it, and it's got a background, it's got my logo, and then it's got the words recommended. And then that just goes into YouTube, and then in YouTube Studio, on those last 5 seconds of the video, I add the next video that I want somebody to watch. Okay, the reason I came over here was to show you a soundtrack. So notice the sound layer that's not the script layer. The script layer is the bottom one that has the words over it and the sound waves. The layer that's not the sound layer will be green if it's audio only. So in this case, it looks like this. It's got the sound waves, and then I forget what the question was earlier. Trying to remember. Oh, it was about adding music and sound effects. So going through the process that I showed of like coming to more, going to music, and then adding something here, this is how it'll show up in your timeline. It'll be green, it'll have sound waves, and it'll look like that. And then from there, you can adjust it. So like right now this is a 5-second clip. It goes from 21 seconds to 26 seconds. If I want to make it shorter, I can put my mouse on the very end boundary and click and drag it to the left to make it shorter. Or if it was longer than 5 seconds, I could drag it to the right and extend it out to the right. But I can't do that right now. I could also adjust this. So I could click the whole thing and drag it left and right. And that repositions like where that sound will begin and end. And if I put it on the notice if I put where the left border of the start of that soundtrack is on the boundary of scene 2, there's that red dotted line. That'll snap it into place, into the beginning of the scene of scene 2 in this case. And then, let's see. You can have it fade in and out. So these little white dots here, if you click on that and drag to the right, that'll have a fade in effect where it'll start from silent and then fade all the way up to full volume. And then you can do the same thing on the end with that white dot. You can have it where it'll start at full volume and then it'll fade out to silence. And that number below it says 1.24s. That's how long in seconds that fade will take. So if I drag it all the way back, oops. Then it's, there we go. So yeah, that's some of the sound properties and adjustments that you can make. Let's see. Any other questions? I've been going almost an hour, 51 minutes so far. I made it through my list. Talked about the Descript Preview. The Descript Preview, if you want to download it for yourself, let me see if I can find the... It's not advertised like on their homepage or anything. The way I found out about it was on a YouTube video. I'm going to drop this in the chat. It's descript.com/desktop preview. And then you can just download it right here with this big button. And yeah, like they say, less waiting, more creating. It's supposed to be a lot faster. It's the way I would describe it is it's like the web version in a desktop app, because it doesn't have to download the files to your computer. It just processes things a little bit faster. And yeah, I think it's probably going to be the future of Descript app, desktop app, is they're going to probably switch over to this type of performance in the near future. More responsive editing with no strain on your hard drive, as they say. So, yeah, unless I get any more questions, I might wrap up there. I do, as I mentioned my course, I also do tutoring, so you can book tutoring calls with me. I do one-on-one for 60 minutes. We get on a Zoom call, and I can answer any questions you have. We can edit a project together. Whatever it is that you're stuck on, or if you're an absolute beginner, then we can start from that. Wherever you're at, doesn't matter. And then, or even if you're experienced, some people are like, I've had Netflix editors who are switching over from Avid or Premiere, and they just want to go into like the real technical details and learn how to use Descript efficiently. So whatever your skill level, I can help you out with Descript tutoring. You can enroll in the course. I also make templates. So if you want a template like this end screen, I've been doing template workshops where if you want a template like this, we get on a call together, and then I create the template in real time with your input. So then we get your logo and colors and fonts and all that kind of stuff in there. And yeah, whatever your Descript needs are, let me know. I also love talking about YouTube. So if you want YouTube strategy or YouTube audits, anything like that, I can do that. All right. Final call for any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off in a moment here. Nope. All right. Well, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening in. And I do this every Friday. You can join in at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time and bring your questions. All righty. Have a good weekend.